Oh, no, I didn't even catch that. You're fucking brilliant. Holy shit.
Good lord.
Okay, so WoG. Can we talk about
WoG? Yeah, WoG took a nerf too.
No, fucking bullshit. It took a 5% nerf.
Well, you know.
Fuck that.
You know, gods are wrathful.
It needs 50% nerf.
Whoa.
No.
Whoa.
It's too hard to get for that.
What? Okay. It had the potential to do at least, I saw consistent numbers of 2,400 damage. There is no way you're going to tell me doing 1,400 damage is not reasonable.
It's not reasonable in PvE is the problem.
Oh.
Because in PvE, Wrath of the Gods doesn't do nearly as much damage as it does to other players. And if you're going to make a spell, you know, that's basically... It's meant to be used in both PvE and PvP, then you kind of need to balance it both ways. But unfortunately, I don't think a 5% nerf was anything more than a tickle, because, you know, when it's doing 1,900 damage, as I think Elidi said, what's the point in taking it down another 100 points or so? It's still going to one-shot people who don't have more than 60 vitality. Vigor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think...
I didn't realize it got that little. Man, I'm apparently not up to par with the patch, or calibration, or update.
And it looks like Flame Weapon took a fucking nerf for no reason.
Flame Weapon took a nerf because it didn't need any stats to be invested in order to use it, and it was just as good as the other buffs.
How much better than
was it? Because you don't really hear people complaining about Flame Weapon the way you do about, you know, Resonant Weapon, Crystal Magic Weapon and stuff like that. I didn't, at least.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think a lot of people use fire weapons. People want to use dark weapons and lightning weapons. True. And, you know, the Sunlight Blade and Resonant Weapon and Dark Weapon and Crystal Magic Weapon on magic stuff actually increased the amount of damage that the Dark Lightning, whatever element, did by like 35% or something, on top of a plus 55 modifier, plus 55 just general AR boost.
That's true.
And Flame Weapon did the same thing, except it didn't have any requirements at all. So now it still does the same boost for Fire Weapon or being buffed onto a Fire Weapon, but it just adds less base damage.
Okay.
Which I think is good, because you don't actually need to have any stats for it, and you don't need to spice it down so it lasts much longer than a spiced down version of another buff.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, so now it's kind of balanced a bit.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, a couple quick notes about Resonant Weapon that I just realized. So, it takes less attunement slots.
Yep.
Or, sorry, Dark Weapon as opposed to Resonant Weapon. It takes less attunement slots, it lasts longer, and you get more casts with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't, not only that, it doesn't cost any souls to use.
Yep.
So you can save those souls for fucking Climax. Makes sense. 10 out of 10.
They like I said before, they hit Resonant Weapon far too hard with the nerf bat. It shouldn't have happened. I think people complained about it too much. I think if they were going to change like just how much damage buffs added to stuff, they should have shifted them all down by about, 20-30% or so.
Yeah.
And just made... When you're nerfing something, you generally don't want to make it fucking irrelevant,
Sure.
Like, there's a reason this spell is in the game. There's a reason you have to go through hoops to get it. So why, when I get it, is it worse than a spell that I've got already that needs less requirements, has less attunement slots, and lasts for longer and does the same thing? And doesn't take my souls as well. Yeah.
Getting back to what you said about the schools for spells and stuff, what do you guys think about them sticking with the no stat investment for Pyromancy?
You do get bonuses if you raise your faith in int. Okay.
Yeah. But we all know how scaling works in this game. It doesn't.
Way to get really close to the mic for impact. That was a nice touch. This was a pro move.
I don't know, like, I never really liked it in Dark Souls 1, and it's funny to see them just do polar opposites now. Like, pyromancy still doesn't really cost anything damage-wise for investing, but hexes takes 2, and they're not that far. Like, why? I don't get it. Like, why would you cast Great Resonant Soul when you can cast fucking Forbidden Sun? And I realize there's Great Resonant Soul is better, but like, you could use all those fucking stats.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
For I mean, taking out the fact that spices or whatever, but I mean, I don't know. Like, as far as min-maxing goes, I guess.
I know what you mean, because when I put together that build that I used in the arena and then in random invasions, I went, well, I've got some extra points kicking around that I want to use for something, and I invested in, I think, 13 attunement, which was like 6 points. And then I put on the Southern Ritual Band +2. So I had 5 attunement slots all of a sudden, and I put as much pyromancy on as I could. So I got Flame Swathe, and I had Forbidden Sun, which I didn't use, and Great Combustion and Fire Whip, and I should have put on Warmth, but I didn't. But I didn't need to invest anything for that. And when I hit someone with a Flame Swathe in the arena, I did 1100 damage.
Wow.
And I had base Faith and Int.
Sure.
Keep in mind that's also a pyromancy that has gotten a nerf.
Yes, that too. And I hit someone in full smelters as well, so like a Phantom, for 900.
Oh my goodness.
So that was
nuts.
Still pretty fucking significant. And I distinctly remember someone from software, that the translator dude that always hung out with one of the new directors, saying, we're going to be addressing pyromancy. It's going to, you're going to need to have some, stat requirements for it, that we're going to be working on it. They were really vague about it.
I think that was actually when they were still considering pyromancy as a part of sorcery, though.
Yeah.
Because remember that whole thing where fire shit was
spells? Yeah, it had merged back with sorcery.
Yeah. You know what's an interesting concept, and this is sort of like a gray area whether, we're still harping on the game or praising it, but more than Demon Souls even, I think this game would have, or rather, let me word this a bit better. I think this game, more than any other Souls game, even Demon Souls, especially Demon Souls, would have benefited from the Nexus Archstone type system. Especially since the geometry doesn't fucking make sense at all, because things overlap and they try too hard, whatever.
Doesn't it have that already? Doesn't it? You have to return to Majula to do your leveling. You have to return to Majula to upgrade your strength of the Estus Flask and all that kind of thing. I mean, for all intents and purposes, that is what it has.
Yeah, but think about how it would impact the level design. That's what I get most from that. Because I mean, you have maps sort of uncreatively doing stupid things so they can link with the next areas. But when you have them encapsulated in little Archstone, what have yous,
if they're truly standalone.
I think they could have done a lot more with that, especially with the benefit of loading screens. And I don't know what the fucking hate is on loading screens all of a sudden. Who gives a shit? I'll never understand. I have to wait for 4 seconds for me to play this shit.
I haven't heard that except for in a couple of forums and whatnot where people say, "Oh, wait for an invader to come in, and then just as he comes in, I'll go through the boss fog, and then double loading screens, take that." And you're like, "What the shit?" Really? That's my comeuppance? Double loading screens? I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of hate on loading screens. Where's that coming from?
I don't know. It's just the sort of the dev open world mindset. Like that's a huge benefit for open world games. A game like Skyrim. I mean, even though that has loading screens when you go into the dungeons and all that shit. But I don't know. That's just an obvious benefit, quote unquote benefit for open world games, and I think people praise Souls games for that, but I think loading screens, I mean, obviously there's benefits for loading screens, you know, but I think they would have made Dark Souls 2 a lot better. And I can sort of just imagine the level design not having to try to link to the other areas, because it's obvious when you look at all the topography of everything. It doesn't make sense. I mean, you can tell, like, well, we wanted to make it make sense, but we just had to sacrifice something. So I feel like if they were given that room to do that, and especially since I've sort of an issue with a lot of areas level design-wise, excluding enemies and all that, just how they play, I guess, I think it would have solved, like, a huge, not problem, but preference, I guess. It would have swayed me in the, oh my god, this is awesome sort of direction.
And see,
I was just a little thought I had. I don't know.
I really don't like the Nexus. I don't like
1-1,
1-2, 1-3, 1-4, you know, your princess is in another castle.
So that's meta. That doesn't appear anywhere in the game. Like, the Archstones have names, don't they? And, like, each area in them? You don't actually warp to 4-2.
You were still, like, picked up and put in
I gotcha.
a different place,
yes.
and you got to go from one place at the very start to the very end, and there's no, well, at some point in 1-2, I can somehow end up in 3-4 or something like that. And I think that a big part of why I liked Dark Souls' original level design and, you know, some of Dark Souls 2 is the fact that, you know, at least things kind of linked up. And I think Dark Souls 2 was a bit weaker in that aspect. But I don't know, like, it's just personal preference. But I didn't like just the flat, you know, pick you up, put you in another level. Okay, this one's the storm-themed one. Get to the end.
Sure.
Hooray.
So I didn't really mind it in either of them, Demon Souls or Dark Souls 2. What did bother me, though, like, I think the open world thing is cool. And I think on the last one, Hero, you mentioned that it was really fucking slick, that you could just theoretically run from one area of the game completely to the end of the game and not see any loading screens, with, like, very few exceptions. But the thing that always kind of bothered me around that was, like, weather changes or time changes, that it's sort of like you go into this place and now it's night, and you go into this place, like when you run through you start in the parish and you run through the Andre's place and come out in the butterfly forest and it's night. And you're kind of like, okay, I'm going to run immediately back and it's day, and you run, and I that kind of bothers me. But yeah, that's completely a preference thing. Or, like, why is it raining here? Is it now I'm through the door and it's not raining, and now I'm in the door and it is raining? And
Dragon Castle looking at you.
One thing I so desperately want in the next Souls game is fucking snow, man. That would be so cool.
You had Painted World.
Yeah. That felt more like a fucking decrepit, desolate place that was just white. Like, I want, like, a snowy blizzard.
Oh, snap.
Fucking.
I just thought of something. This is a complete non sequitur, but do you remember in some of the demos, the early demos of Dark Souls 2, and they showed the dragon wrecking the bridge, and they said, "You've seen this bridge before"? What were they talking about?
That's the Painted World. That's the Ariamis bridge. Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't know about all that speculation? How the dragon?
Yeah, I did. I just didn't.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't think I ever put it together. I guess I was just no. You know what it was? I was convinced that the "it is Lordran" thing was a complete and utter afterthought.
Oh.
That it was meant to be something completely different, and then they just shoehorned all this stuff together to say, oh no, it's been Lordran the whole time, and now it's Drang Lake, and it's been many other names since then. And so, yeah, I guess I failed to connect those dots. All right, don't mind me.
Yeah, a big letdown I had with that whole, like, connecting Lordran to this or whatever was they went for months and months saying the big emphasis of this game is time. And I'm like, oh, so we can play off of, like, the whole Painted World thing to where, like, maybe that's in a different time and we can be going through eras and maybe revisiting places and stuff, but it's like, no, this just takes place a few hundred years after the first game in the same spot.
And with the exception of the giant memories.
Yeah. Well, that was like what? Like 20 years ago?
Last week
whenever
sometime.
that was. Yeah. That was before Dave got his Corvette.
Yeah. He turned into a dick.
My life's got a
instantly.
big emphasis on time.
My life's got a big emphasis on time.
It does.
Yeah, I don't know. There's things aesthetically about the game that, I mean, a lot of it is fucking self-imposed hype train bullshit that we put on ourselves because, and I mean, a lot of it is actually credit to the community we have. I mean, we have such cool guys like fucking getting us excited and speculating and, you know, using their imagination with shit. I mean, look at like Epic Name Bro and stuff, and I think he gets in my imagination with ideas and stuff for theories and all that stuff more than anyone else. But we have such a cool community that sort of builds and adds on top of that, I think, better than any other community out there. So I think it's our fault, but I don't know. It's we have a lot of room, or rather we create a lot of room to let ourselves down. And I think like that's probably why we were focused so much on the negative.
So that is a phenomenal segue. So what was Dark Souls like at launch? That was masterful.
Fucking ruined it.
No, seriously. So like we were talking about sort of preconceived notions and having an idea of what we wanted and what we expected from Dark Souls 2 based on everybody's reaction from Dark Souls, which for the most part within the community was just love, unadulterated love. This is broken, that's broken. Many parts of the game sucked, but as a whole, we loved it. And so we were looking for that in Dark Souls 2. So like barring that for a second, going back to, because you guys were both there at launch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like what was sort of your launch perception of the thing? What was the vibe of whatever community there was going into it? And granted, I know it's a little different because Demon Souls was an exclusive title on PlayStation, so it didn't have nearly the as big a fan base. It was not as widespread, but I mean, there must have been some kind of hype and must have been some kind of community expectation around the launch of Dark Souls. What was it like?
My first experience with Dark Souls was not a pleasant one. I didn't like the game. I played it for a week, got to Painted World, decided I hated it, and played Demon Souls for 3 months, and watched Chase play the game while we recorded videos, and it was mainly me having fun while talking to him, not actually enjoying the game. And that goes back to the fact that I don't like a game just because it's a Souls game. Like, I actually do dissect things about the game that I like. Just so happens Souls games have a lot of things I like in games. But I think,
were you aware? Oh,
as far as the negativity with my experience with Dark Souls at launch, some things I felt it lacked was, a lot of it was the open world. A lot of it was aesthetics. I felt it was a little too adventure-y, if that makes sense. A little too Uncharted Drake's Fortune, if that makes sense. Demon Souls is really dreary and, you know, shitty and an pleasant experience. Yeah, mostly aesthetics, but I don't know. Fucking a lot of small things. I didn't like how when you two-handed a sword, you held the weapon up instead of down. Though I didn't like the blacksmith change and like the upgrade pass, the addition of lightning and all that. I don't know. There were a few.
Were you aware of any kind of community? Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, what was?
Well, because I was uploading, I think, almost a full year, maybe a year of Demon Souls before before Dark Souls came out. I actually like.
Oh, that's right.
I uploaded a Dark Souls video, the first one that's just titled Dark Souls 2 Gameplay. Because I didn't even know if it was a series or what. I didn't know what to call it, but I uploaded it at 2 in.the.morning at launch. I went to the midnight release and fucking played it for an hour, and I'm like, here's my fucking hour with the game. I don't.
Okay, I got to throw something in here. You did do Demon Souls videos because I learned the Stockpile Thomas glitch from you.
Yeah.
Oh,
small world.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. And so, like, what was the community buzz around early in Dark Souls life? Were people as negative about it as they are about Dark Souls 2? Just for perspective?
No, and I think that's for a few different reasons. One, obviously the community was a lot smaller. Two, I think Demon Souls was sort of a mystery in a lot of ways, and it required the community's help to figure out a lot of things and do certain things, and I was on the wiki for God knows how many hours on the Demon Souls one, trying to figure out fucking what upgrades do what and all that shit. What's pure Bladestone? That doesn't exist.
Or where the fuck is it? Because all my dex weapons are +4. I guess I'll just go bleed. I'll go tearing.
Yeah, I love Tearing Path though. It's a different IP, so we were expecting big changes. We didn't expect it to be in the same universe, and I feel like this is where Dark Souls 2 really just kind of shit the bed in some ways, because it's repeating. Well, there's a couple things. One, it's repeating a lot of things. There's a lot of mistakes, mainly like damage and weapon scaling and elemental shit that happened in the first game, and it's like, well, didn't you guys learn from last time? You know, there's some remnants of that. And two, there's always this emphasis of like expanding more. So I don't know. I really don't feel like this should be. I mean, it is because story and all that bullshit, but I really don't feel like this should be Dark Souls 2. They changed so many core mechanics to make this game feel, look, and play different. I really think they made a bad decision just calling it Dark Souls 2 because it doesn't feel like the same game. And I made some exaggerated joke on the co-op playthrough, like you don't see God of War busting out M16s, holding L1 to shoot, like, you know, but I don't know, like big mechanical changes like that as far as like how your character moves, the thing you control throughout the entire game, huge changes to stats that now govern the effectiveness of basic mechanics. There's a lot of different things that just make it feel like a different game, and that was all good and fine in Demon Souls because we were expecting it. It was awesome, and it gave us a lot more because Demon Souls had so little. It was a much farther jump because of the budget difference. And this, although Dark Souls 2 had a way bigger budget, it wasn't as drastic. So maybe we had the expectation that it was going to be as much of a jump as it was from Demon Souls to Dark Souls as 1 to 2. That is my 8 cents on it. That was a lot.
Yeah, that's enough. Hero, how about you?
My introduction to Dark Souls was, I'm in Big W, which you may know as a store in Australia.
Nope.
No? Okay, it's basically like Walmart, but shittier.
Oh, wow, that's
that?
bad.
It's called
it's got like
Big
games
W?
and clothes and yeah, Big W. It's like Woolworths, except it's like the sort of everything goods, general goods store version of Woolworths. And Woolworths here is like our supermarket, which is like where you get bread and food and drinks and stuff. Anyway, my point is,
shut up, Hero.
I saw the goddamn cover art for Dark Souls, and I was like, this looks cool. And I had $70, so I picked it up.
Rich little kid.
Australian
dollars.
Oh.
70, yeah, Australian dollars.
Oh.
And it was interesting, is my way to explain how I felt with it, because I had just come from like games like, Devil May Cry, and things are generally a lot faster, and you can pause the game at any time. That kind of thing that's going on there, and you have to get to, or you can like save at any time, or you can just return to a checkpoint. And just to load into Dark Souls, and the intro cinematic was, I remember sitting down and watching it because my sister was there too, and we were like, this looks awesome. Then I loaded in and I was like, why am I a corpse?
What the hell is wrong with me?
And then I was reading the little messages on the ground going up the hallway in the undead asylum, and I was like, L1 to block, R1 to attack.
Why is it not square?
R2,
what the fuck?
yeah, why?
Totally.
Yeah, the thing is, like, why is square use item? Why isn't square light attack? Why isn't Y heavy attack? And this was just like, this was so awkward for me. And because, you know, the knight has the most HP, and I've heard this, I had like read on the back that you were going to die. I was like, well, maybe I'll pick the knight character. And of course, I didn't know about, you know, roll speeds or any of that shit. So I was just wandering up the hallway in my hulking knight armor, you know, like clank, clank,
yeah,
clank.
totally. Just like
And
lumbering.
some of the first things, one of the first things I noticed is like, I have a broken straight sword. Oh, this isn't doing very much damage to the boss. Why is there no music except for when I'm in a boss fight? No, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel great. And I got to Lordran, you know, in about 20 minutes because I'm not terrible and I noticed doors. And
Better than me.
it was just, I didn't like it at first. I hated it. I played up until I beat the Taurus demon, and then I beat the gargoyles, and I went, well, that's enough for me. I didn't play for like 4 months. And then I picked it up again, and I beat it the first time, and by the time I'd beaten it, I didn't even know how to backstab, because I didn't read all the messages in the asylum.
You didn't even do it by accident?
No. Because I was like, I was shit scared when I was going through first time, because I was like, I always have to be blocking, you know, or let down the shield to regain your stamina, but I was always blocking, and you know how you can't backstab if you have your shield up?
Yep.
That's just like, I would go around to the back of an enemy so that they wouldn't attack me straight away, and then I'd attack them, but I'd just, you know, go straight, holding the L1 button at the same time, I would attack, and I just would not have a backstab. First time I got a backstab was in New Game Plus. After I looked up a video.
What the hell was that?
Yeah.
There's this awesome super move.
Big damage. And then the game, well, I mean, I finished the game and I really liked it. But at the time, I was playing on the Xbox and I didn't even know about Demon's Souls. I didn't know it existed, just flatly, right up till the time I beat it. Didn't know it existed. And I didn't have the PS3, so I couldn't even go and play it if I wanted to. So I had no community, basically. Like, I went through the game, start to finish, no help from anyone. I had no idea that there were so many people in on the game as there was. So that was my community experience. I had none.
You had no experience. Okay.
You weren't playing online? You never got invaded?
I got invaded a few times. Some guy, a twink, he dropped me like 20 great souls of a hero.
Oh,
Souls
God.
of a great hero or something. Obviously, now I know he was a bottomless box glitcher.
Oh,
But then I was like, this person just gave me like souls and stuff? Sweet. So I leveled up my HP a bit, and that like made a little bit of the journey, more palatable for me. I don't think it ruined my experience because I just went, well, that's probably only going to happen once in my lifetime. And I was happy with it. But yeah, I had no fucking experience with people or anything in the game until I'd gotten a New Game Plus. I didn't even know what New Game Plus was. Game's like, okay, you're starting again. And I was like, oh, I have my equipment. What the shit? Yeah. That was my experience.
What about you, Polly?
With Dark Souls? No, so I came super late to Dark Souls. I was still playing Demon's Souls until maybe like July of 2013. I think I've said that before. So it was like really late in Demon's Souls, and Dark Souls had been going for a long time. And I was watching all these Demon's Souls videos. I was watching, the evolutions videos and stuff like that. which also introduced me to dubstep. But
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah. So, and then I just kind of naturally went into watching Dark Souls videos, even though I didn't know anything about this game, but it was like, oh, there's another one. And so by the time I finally picked it up, I was pretty familiar with the community behind it and had watched playthroughs and all that kind of thing. So I did not have a pristine Dark Souls experience at all and came into it that way. But as far as Demon Souls, it was really similar to Heroes thing. Like I picked it up like mid-life of it or whatnot, like an actual disc, and played through it, and I thought it was just going to be like an action RPG, like a slasher type thing. And so, you know, my first character, you're going through the intro level or what it is, the little tutorial thing and reading messages. And you're like, okay, I can get this. And then you get to the
Baldur's Palace.
Vanguard.
Thank you. Yeah. Vanguard. And you're sort of like, okay, you know, I'm going to take the approach of a lot of other slasher games, just get up close to him and hack away as fast as I can. And he like two shots you or one shots you, whatever. And it was just kind of like, fuck this game. And you finally pass him and you go a little bit. And I got to, I got invaded for the first time, was obliterated. And fuck this game. Then I got to the man eaters and it was like, fuck this game. And I think I quit. And I think I quit at that point. And then like picked it back up, months, if not a year later. And it was kind of like, all right, we'll give this another go. And that time just kind of fell in love with it. But yeah, I did not finish the game my first playthrough. And it was just kind of like, this is not for me. This is not an RPG. I don't know what's going on. I don't get it. I don't understand. And I'm not playing it right or whatever it is. But yeah, it was rough. But I didn't have any kind of community context going into Dark Souls, or I had too much community context going into Dark Souls, but I wasn't there at launch. So I was just kind of wondering if it was the same sort of expectations and immediate negativity that there was around Dark Souls 2. It doesn't sound like it.
Justin?
I tend to... I can't relate to launch-wise because I tend to just not pay attention to the community other than my... I watch like first playthroughs because that's what everyone fucking uploads the first few weeks, and then the comments and, you know, my comment sections. So that was my sort of community, and I really don't deviate that far from that because I wasn't on like Twitter then or anything. But I can kind of relate to that in the PvP scene. I got to PvP really fucking late in Dark Souls. Almost 2 years after launch? No, that's not right. Yeah, like early 2013, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my first Battle of the Uploaders with War Child. That was like that week was my introduction to. I basically went through the game. I had a series called Let's Make a Build, and that was gonna be my build for my PvP stuff because I didn't even know about the mule then.
Did you finish it?
Yeah. It was
you finished a series?
It was a co-op playthrough with me, Chase, and some subscribers who tri-commed with me. And that was sort of, and I was fucking garbage. I didn't know poise breakpoints, fucking nothing. I had like 50 int because I was like, White Dragon Breath, that sounds neat. And I was wearing like Xanthus shit for no reason and the Dark Sun mask and Velka's rapier. It was fucking horrible. And
that sounds wonderful.
Well, no, not when your first week includes a Battle of the Uploader with War Child.
Good call.
That was back when he had 88 poise too. Couldn't do shit. I mean, it was a little. I think that was. I'm not sure if that was pre or post Darkwood Grain Ring, the 06 patch, but it seemed to be a bit more balanced between like positive and negative response. But the people with negative responses are always the loudest ones. And
in all things.
Yeah. And I don't know. I had to sort of, since it was new for me and I wasn't super involved in the PvP Demon Souls thing. Not really. Like, it was mostly invasions. I was never a dueling guy in Demon Souls, but I had to sort of, I mean, I read fucking thousands of comments, not even kidding, like my first month with Dark Souls PvP, and I'm just like, I need information and other opinions so I can accurately form my own. And that was, I don't know, that was my sort of experience, and that's, I mean, I saw a lot of it. I mean, reading that many comments, I can't even tell you, like, if there was more negative than positive, because I literally probably read about 1,000 comments that month.
Sure.
But, no, I mean, it's hard to tell with that kind of shit, and again, like, I think launch is something very case-by-case basis, and I think this was, like, the anger, I guess, was fueled a lot by this being a sequel to Dark Souls, and not that sort of, like, Sony doesn't own this, so we have to make a new game thing. And, I don't know, I think, Dark Souls was really fucking good, and it wanted us, like, that sort of, I mean, fuck, okay, I got it. You play something for 2 years. I think everyone who got into Dark Souls, like, you were fucking into Dark Souls. You played it for a long time. So, things that were awesome in the beginning were still good, but now you craved more and more and more, and you play it for that fucking long, and things get in your head, and you got people like me and Seraphim and I don't know, a few other people, or random bits in whatever commentaries that are sort of wish listing and coming up with cool ideas. I mean, I had a fucking 3-part wish list series for Dark Souls 2 like months before it came out, and you know, not just sort of like exactly what was intended, like get into the imagination of people listening, like, hey, let's get hyped. And I think, again, like the self-imposed hype train thing, I think we set ourselves up to fail, and now we're angry at the game when we should be angry at ourselves.
That's a great point, because I've gone back and looked for archive videos in terms of what, around the time of Dark Souls launch or pre-Dark Souls launch, in terms of like, what do you hope to see from this game? And I can't really find any. So maybe if anybody's out there listening to this and you know of some, link them. Like, that would be badass to see, and compare it to sort of the just boatloads of crap that was coming out around Dark Souls 2. And I hope they do this, and I hope they do that. And I've heard this is going to change, and here's why I think that's a bad idea, and here's why I think this is a good idea, and all that kind of stuff. Because I have not seen that about Dark Souls, which makes sense because it was new IP. The Demon Souls community was not nearly the size of the Dark Souls community, even when it was out there and thriving. And it's just, so that does make a lot of sense. And I think that would be fascinating.
Yeah. Well, the Demon Souls sort of thing with that, like, what we're expecting, whatever, I think Demon Souls was a good setup for a next game, because since it was a way lower budget, like, really the primary thing that we wanted, our chief, you know, hey, look at me, listen to me, this is what the fans want, is just more. I mean, we wanted more things, more clothes to put on, more weapons to use, more fucking everything, more space to roam around. I mean, it was a very easy thing for the devs to address, but and again, like, back to the good things overshadowed by bad things. They fucking listen to us. The thing I heard most when crying out for, you know, shit for Dark Souls 2 that wasn't in Dark Souls 1, make dual wielding more viable. And goddamn, we got that, and damn is it good. And I mean, they did listen to us. Granted, I never got a spell that gives me spider legs like I wanted, but there were a lot of them. We got a lot of shit, and I think just, I don't know.
The other camp would say, we got a lot of shit.
Yeah. That inflection, though. Cool. Yeah. That's my thoughts. Deal with them.
I shall.
Or I'll block you.
Oh my god. There seems to be a lot of that going on too. Oh my god. There seems to be a lot more punchiness in channels in uploaders and stuff like that. Maybe just because like the love-hate camps are so divisive within the community. But it's just like a lot of people are just trying to convince the other camp that they are right. Yeah. Or a lot of people are trying to convince others that what they're thinking is correct and what said others is wrong. There's no good way to say that. Shit.
Well, what's funny is what you're speculating right now was actually vocalized. Like, they were like, there's a few people that were, you know, we need to tell people we think this, other people think that. Like, they were like legitimately presenting an argument to the audience at large. Like, we are creating a division
sure.
of people that agree with this and people that agree with that. And I don't think that was a good idea for the people that did that.
That's my biggest beef. Like a lot of the negativity I see in some very loud voices in the uploader community. I again, for the third time, I think over the course of these minutes that we've been talking, many minutes, I can't refute any of the complaints that people have. I think a lot of them are completely legit, but I don't like just trying to drive the wedge into the community. And I don't like trying to say, you know, drawing a line in the sand and saying, pick a side. I'm getting really heated hearing the same negativity parroted everywhere. And it's stuff that I've said and it's stuff that we've said on that last podcast. And it's like, yes, these are problems. Yeah.
And games have problems. I haven't played a perfect game. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I like dissecting things and being like, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be fixed. But it's like, you do that knowing that your perfect game will never be created. And some things you just gotta, like prioritize, you know? Don't go like, oh, the stamina damage on this weapon is bullshit. And be like, well, you should probably fix scaling first, because that is something that they might actually fix. No one gives a shit about stamina damage. Roll through it, bro. Do. Roll through it.
Oh, yeah, just roll through it. Fucking that meme going around. Did you see the one where there was a planet-sized meteor crashing into Earth? Yeah. There's a spaceman watching from the moon, and the caption was just roll through it, bro.
That's fucking brilliant. I love that.
I haven't seen that one. I gotta go look that up.
Great Resonant Soul isn't a big deal. Just roll through it. And it's like, yeah, but if there's any sort of lag, at all, even if you have a good internet connection,
upgrade your ADP,
they don't.
Man.
Oh yeah. Take your ADP to 99.
Lag messes it up. Upgrade
and you know,
your ADP.
Casual. That's all. Just roll through it is kind of a bullshit argument to bring up in terms of balancing. When you say like this does too much damage, and the retort is exactly. The retort is we'll just dodge it, and it's like that is completely irrelevant to what I was saying. I wasn't saying that it's difficult to dodge. I was saying that if you get hit by it, it does more relatively than anything else, and more than it should. And it's like, I mean, it's probably like getting punched in the face by a professional boxer. Hurts a lot. And you're kind of like, well, just don't get hit. And you're like, well, that's great advice. But I mean,
roll through it.
That doesn't
roll through the box.
I was talking about the pain. I was not talking about the act of getting hit.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think people try and make their points relevant when they're not, because they're blinded by how much something is annoying them or how much they're annoyed by hearing something. And I think both sides sort of do that to each other in ways.
I'm guilty of hell as that. Yeah. I do that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, even though, you know, we can say, oh, this is an opinionated video all fucking day, the fact is we think we're right when we say it. Or not right. I guess, like, that's the way it should be because I want to have fun with this game or have as much fun as I can. It even though it's fueled by positivity, I mean, it's still you're establishing something that, you know, would change something for everybody else. So I think even by making this video, we're just adding fuel to the fire.
Well, that's kind of the nature of commentary and the nature of philosophy in general too. Like nobody wants to hear somebody sit there and say like, well, it is good or bad if you do or do not agree or disagree with what I'm saying or not saying. And it's kind of like, you said nothing. Just, you gotta lean one way.
Yeah. I know. I'm just saying someone will always have the counter argument, and when we're talking about the counter argument as a topic, it's just an endless cycle. But I enjoy these discussions.
I do or do not enjoy these discussions.
Fucking pick one.
I really like talking with both of you occasionally.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Way to roll through it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Closing thoughts?
Play the game or don't play the game.
It's just as easy to talk shit about any game if you sit down. Really?
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
As it is Dark Souls 2. It's just because there's a bigger community now for Dark Souls 2 that there are a lot more and louder voices to actually like scream about, things that are worse in Dark Souls 2 than Dark Souls 1 or Demon Souls. I think if you had people go back now and just gave Demon Souls Dark Souls 2's size community, you'd have people screaming.
No, it's
yelling.
Best game. Shut up. It's best game.
Why are there no armors? Why is just all the bullshit?
Why does my backstab do no damage?
Dude, you gotta patch the fact that I backstabbed someone and then they slid halfway across the screen and ran into the level.
Yeah, I think a big problem is people adopting other people's opinions blindly because they trust them. And I think a lot of it, fucking everything in this whole discussion and the whole community and the whole analyzing Dark Souls 2, it's really circumstantial. It's like, I mean, I'll say like I like the game or I don't like the game, but it changes by case basis, and that's sort of how you should play games. Like if you put in the disc and you're like, I had a good session last time, and you have a shit session when you're going to play it, it's like, don't decide that you hate the game. Just play a different game or don't play a game. If you feel like going back to it, you may have a great time, you may have a shitty time. Like, play, like, live in the moment, people. If you're not, like, I don't know. You don't have to absolutely love something indefinitely.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, like I said, that's the thing that bothers me the most, is that if you like the game, if you are positive about Dark Souls 2, you're a fanboy. Mm-hmm. And if you hate it, then, well, you don't like you're not familiar with the Souls series. You're not, Dark Souls 1 had problems, Demon Souls had problems, and they fixed it. And it's just, I don't know. It's the same argument on both sides, in my opinion.
Totally agree.
I feel like I had another point to make, but now it is gone. Now it is absolutely gone. Way to derail me, gentlemen.
Turning into me.
Well, it's only been 2 hours and 20 minutes, so
yeah.
I mean, there might be a chunk where we got up and had a drink and stuff, but
all right, cool. Let's close it. I think wait. Oh, I know what it was. Pulling it back. So like I've said this a couple times. Visionary just said it. I don't know if Hero said it too, but if
you didn't call me Justin, by the way.
Well, I don't. So okay. Here's another tangent. On one of the video, I think the last one, we were on Hero's channel, he was like, "I'm here with Polygoing, say hi," and I'm here with Justin. And you're like, "Hi, it's the Visionary." Like, you corrected him.
Oh no, I didn't correct. I was just stating my channel name.
Oh,
I was branding myself.
It was branding. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, so like I think we were saying it comes down to whether or not you like the game more than it bugs you, and whether you're not wanting to play it. You know what drives me fucking nuts? Are like the
yes,
go on.
The comments that are sort of so there'll be an opinion expressed in the video, and then somebody says, if you don't like the game, don't play it. Which is what we have said. And the rebuttal to that is, well, if you don't like my commentary, don't listen to it. And I just scratch my head at that shit in terms of like, just imagine that in a conversation. It's sort of like, okay, I'm about to tell you something, but if you don't like it, don't listen. And you're kind of like, what? How does that make a goddamn lick of sense?
I think people have heard, like, people that say the don't listen to my commentary thing have heard that familiar thing, like, don't complain about free entertainment, and they're kind of, like, absorbing that a little too much, and that's their defense mechanism for everything. I think, like, a successful channel is run by being able to draw people like that who disagree, and you can have a discussion about it without actually, like, going, well, then leave. And I say that sometimes and whatever, but that's like when people are being complete dicks. I won't say, you know, like, or if they say I hate the game, you know, whatever. One, I'd never say I don't play it, but two, I would never reply, well, then bounce because you disagree. That's stupid.
Well, but you see it in comments too. It's sort of like, if you don't like my comment, don't read it. And you're like, how could I have avoided that?
Yeah.
What? I can't roll through that. What are you talking about?
Dude, just let it roll off you. Don't you have thick skin?
I suppose.
I'll never understand that.
I suppose. Oh my God. It just drives me daffy. It drives me batshit crazy.
You're gonna see a lot more retarded comments because you're getting popular. You're almost at that 1K, man.
Yay.
Yay.
No, that was an awfully backhanded thing to say. It's sort of like, hey, you're getting more popular. More people that suck are going to find you. And it's like, oh my God, that is not true at all.
No. Just the probability rises is all. I think that's a fair statement. Shut up if it's not.
If you don't like my statement, don't listen to it.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Okay.
All right, we'll cap it. Unless you guys got anything else, we'll cap it.
I'm out.
No, I'm good.
I'm out. I'll just end up stuttering and saying things that don't make a lot of sense. A lot of ums.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody for giving a listen. I know it was a little bit rambly at times, and the visionary, I'm not going to call him Justin, said a bunch of dumb shit stuff. But if you think he didn't, if you disagree, don't listen. No, go check him out on his channel. I'll include a link to it. I'll include a link to the hero of Canton. I did it again. The hero of Canton. Oh my God, because I'm singing the song in my head.
It's a song?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
I've never seen this show.
God,
I just laughed so hard I pulled my head back and my headphones came out of my ears.
Oh my goodness. I'm singing the little song. But yeah, check out Hero on his channel. He's doing some really great stuff. And thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't talk over me. And thanks. I'm kidding. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Definitely hit us up in the comments with like feedback and things like that, because I'm sure we said plenty of things to disagree with. And
raising my hand.
Yeah, I was raising your hand too. No,
Justin especially, not really. No.
I'm opinionated.
It's all good. That's what it's all about. That's what these round tables are all about. All opinions are welcome, except that they're not ours. All right, cool. I'll see you guys next time, and I'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye, everybody.
Later.